All right, excellent. We are making excellent progress. In the past few lessons, we've imagined we live in a world where all investors are rational, risk-averse, and willing to optimize their investment portfolios. We introduced the concept of a market portfolio and a risk-free asset, and we said investors make their decisions based on their risk appetite. The ones seeking higher expected returns will allocate a greater portion of their money in the market portfolio and less in the risk-free asset. And finally, we introduced the concept of beta, which measures how a security is expected to perform regarding the entire market. We are ready to complete the puzzle and introduce the capital asset pricing model. Here's how it looks. A security's expected return is equal to the return of the risk-free asset plus beta times the expected return of the market minus the return of the risk-free asset. Let's try to provide an interpretation, shall we? Okay, so we are basically saying every security's expected return should be equal to the following. We start with a risk-free rate of return, which is the bare minimum an investor would accept to buy a security. The investor must be compensated for the risk he's taking, right? That's why we need the equity premium component given by the expected return of the market portfolio minus the risk-free rate. It is reasonable to expect such an incentive, given that the security has risk, correct? Okay, very good. But how much should the risk premium that the investor would expect be? It has to be related to the amount of risk he's willing to accept buying the security. And we already said that beta measures the amount of risk that a security bears regarding the market portfolio, remember? This is the capital asset pricing model, a very elegant and easy to understand model that helps us build expectations regarding the expected return of securities traded on the market. This is the most widely used model by practitioners today. Let's provide an example and illustrate how we could measure the expected return of a security. We can do it for P&G. First, we need to shake off some of the hypotheses made by the authors and use real-life proxies of some of these measures. There isn't such a thing as a risk-free asset in the real economy. Every asset contains risk. With time, practitioners have decided the closest to risk-free we can have is the yield of the 10-year government bonds. And in this example with P&G, we'll use the yield of the 10-year U.S. government bonds, given we are calculating the expected return of a U.S. company. The 10-year U.S. yield is approximately 2.5%, so that's our risk-free. Great. What about beta? Well, you know how to calculate beta. Please remember, the best proxy for the market portfolio is a wide index traded in the home country of the security. The S&P 500 will do a good job in this case. P&G's beta is equal to 0.62. Academic research has proven the market risk premium for equities in the U.S. has been between 4.5% and 5.5%. And practitioners typically use one of these values, or simply 5%, which is in between. Right. Now we can calculate P&G's expected return. And if our calculations are correct, it should be 5.6% approximately. When an investor buys P&G's shares, he would expect to earn 5.6% to be compensated for the risk he's taking. Now you know how the CAPM functions, and that's awesome because this is one of the most useful tools in the world of finance.